Now, for years, we were told Brexit was a catastrophe, a total disaster. Everything would be worse. Prices would go up. But we get a really good, happy piece of news overnight. And it's about post-Brexit wine imports. Yes, because of EU red tape, we've had incredible checks that have to be made, acidity tests made on wine. And this was all because, well, I think it was because the European Union, with some big wine producers in it, in particular, of course, Italy and France, the European Union put this in place effectively as a protectionist measure because they wanted it to be more difficult for wine to come in from outside the United Kingdom. Now, whilst we do produce wine in this country, and some of it, particularly for sparkling, I think, white, is very, very good. But 99% of the wine that is drunk in the United Kingdom is actually produced overseas. Most of it at the moment comes in from Europe. But I think as we start to negotiate our own trade deals, we're going to find that wines coming in from the rest of the world, comparatively, are going to get just that little bit cheaper. So look, here's a good news story for everybody, and a good news story about Brexit, and maybe a good news story for the wine trade in this country. Well, joining me now is Jaspar Corbett, wine connoisseur and owner of Compass Wines Limited. Jaspar, good evening.
Evening, Nigel.
So this is almost, to me, a dream, isn't it? I mean, this is a Farage dream, because a piece of EU red tape gets cut. As I understand it, Jaspar, these were tests that had to be done on batches of wine to test for acidity, and we've now decided that is unnecessary red tape and doesn't need to be done. Is that about the sort of long and short of it?
Yes, I think partly you've got a very good story out of something that's not quite there, in that I think it was the British government that actually said that we needed to have these tests done in the first place, not the Europeans. And so if we'd had to go ahead and do them, there would have been a cost added. For the small independent wine merchants, this would have been a huge burden to bear. And for importers, of course, they would have to have paid for these tests, which were around about £300 per bottle, per wine, per vintage. So every year you've got to go through this process. So it looked like a sort of a rather nasty tale was going to unwind, which was going to add, 10, 15p to a bottle of wine. And now it's not, which is very good news. I must admit, the red tape that was coming our way was going to look mind-blowingly difficult. We are wine merchants, and we tend to suggest that we're just above estate agents in the intellectual capacity stakes. So more red tape is not good news for us.
I like that. Well, I have to say, working out over the last 25 years whether rules originated in Brussels or in the UK was always very difficult. But it being removed is clearly very good news. So you're going to give... Now, just promise me one thing, Jaspar. This means that your customers are going to get slightly cheaper wine, doesn't it?
I'm afraid not. It means you're not going to get more expensive wine.
OK.
Because the tax isn't coming.
Yeah. OK. And what are you drinking now, Jaspar? Tell me.
Well, I've got a rather cheeky little Sauvignon Blanc from the Loire Valley, which is called À peu près, which translates to as good as. And it's made just outside Pouilly-Fumé in the Loire Valley. Jolly good.
Very good. And tell me, how is the UK wine trade? Presumably lockdown must have been fantastic for you guys, because people at home, sitting in the garden, I guess you've all made a fortune, haven't you?
For the independent wine merchants, fellas like me, and associated elements of it, it's been really very good because, as your earlier contributor said, we've learned to shop locally. People use butchers and fishmongers that they've forgotten about, and they're buying nicer wine, more interesting wine. We're a very knowledgeable country when it comes to wine. You can find wine from all over the world here. So it's a lovely marketplace to sell into. I think for those in the hospitality sector, it has been a simply dreadful period.
Yes. Oh, yes, sure. If you're organising big events, sporting events, disaster. But for you, the local wine merchant, it's been good. Jaspar Corbett, thank you very much indeed for coming on and joining us. Well, there we are. So I was hoping our wine might get cheaper, but we're told it's not going to get more expensive. Well, it's sort of, I guess that's a glass half full rather than half empty moment.
Welcome to the GB News YouTube channel. You can watch us live 24 hours a day, catch up on your favourite shows and join in the conversation in the comments below.
Don't forget to subscribe and you'll never miss any of our exclusive content.